Hey everyone, it's Caleb Reese at TennoArmy.com, bringing you yet another Warframe guide. Today we're going to be looking at Ember. This build right here is going to revolve around fire damage and Accelerant to increase that fire damage, and having World on Fire constantly on to supplement that damage. So the idea behind the build is to just press 4, let World on Fire just tick. When you get to a group of enemies, hit Accelerant, and then blow them up with a fire weapon, right? And just having the World on Fire kill all the stragglers, or if you're on a mid to low tier, let's say level 30 enemies and below, or 35 enemies and below, they're just going to die to World on Fire, period. So you won't actually have to do much. I'll give you some idea of what these numbers look like so you can kind of gauge what kind of enemies you'll be able to fight, how fast you can kill them. So with this build right here, World on Fire is going to hit for 800 damage. So, you know, anything below 25 is just going to get one shot. Maybe the corpus shields may really take a damage. Usually everything dies because it ticks so fast it's hard to tell how many times the enemy got hit. But we'll dive up fairly fast. Also, if you use Accelerant with this, it's going to multiply this damage right here by, I have it here, by 5. Right, so if we do some simple math, 8 by 5, I believe it's 30, so you're going to hit for 3,000 per hit. That's a lot of damage, right? So if we go over here to our Ignis, and you see how we have this built, it's hitting for 532, so you're going to go ahead and multiply that by 5. It'll be hitting somewhere around like 2,600. And then the reason why we put the viral proc on here is to make sure that as we get higher into the game, this weapon will scale better, so it'll cut the enemy's HP in half, so they won't be as beefy, so that the 2,600 damage and fire we're talking about will be relevant, right? We don't want it to drop off. Same thing with the Atamos, I did the same thing with it. If you're curious as to how the status effect got high, I'll show you the build real quick. I don't want to get too much into the weapons of it, but I'm just using 3 of the status effect, the dual status effect mods. You have to position them in such a way that you can get the viral proc first, so the malignant force and rhyme rounds have to be in front, and all the fire damage has to be in the back, so thermite runs and hellfire. Just want to get that heat damage as high as possible so it gets increased by Accelerant. Then the weapon runs out of ammo really quick, so rifle ammo mutation is phenomenal here. The spread won't hurt it at all, or at least I haven't found it to hurt it, so heavy caliber is amazing. And then split chamber for multi-shot and serration for more damage. So that's how I like to build it there. It took the same principles for the Ignis and applied it to everything else. Now for Ember itself, I'll show you what the build looks like over here. We want to prioritize strength and efficiency. I think those are the 2 most important things, because this build doesn't just want to use World on Fire and just go like for a max range and strength. So I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to use more abilities, and I felt that Accelerant supplements or complements the build a lot more, right? Because when we're using fire weapons, we'll be able to, 5 times damage, nothing to laugh at, right? Especially when we have viral procs, it's going to be really good. And this is mostly what I take to against infested of just pretty much all levels, anything you run into. I'm going to go take it into a sortie right now so you can take a look at what the damage looks like. But we're going to use Transient Fortitude and Intensify. The reason why we don't use Blind Rage here is because we don't want to be affected by that 50% negative power efficiency, right? Because right now it's at 170. So if you look here at the Fleeting Expertise, we don't have that maxed. We just have it to 40% in Streamline, so we get that 70% efficiency. So if you actually look at World on Fire over here, it's at a 1 energy per second. So this is going to be on for a long time if you think about that, right? 60 energy per minute, that's amazing. The amount of damage output is going to come out, is going to be really good for that. So also be aware that duration does affect World on Fire. So we are going to try and put in a prime continuity to offset some of the duration we're going to lose from Fleeting Expertise. So that's good too. And 88 duration I found is good enough. Like if you look at Accelerant, I felt like it was going to be a debuff for a long enough time. Like the duration is 26 seconds. If you can't kill the enemies around you in 26 seconds, there's something wrong. Like I would even say, like if this duration was like 10, that would even be fine. But it's not possible in this build, because if we dropped it to 10, that means that that World on Fire would cost more, because the cost of World on Fire is affected by both efficiency and duration. So that's where I like to keep it. I normally go up against the Infested with this build, so I like the Vitality mod, because on my weapon I have the, what is it, the Life Leech? I forget what it's called. Yeah, Life Strike. So if I get low on HP, I just bust up the Life Strike and get all my HP back. That's why I rock that, and I don't want to die to any viral, because there's a lot of toxin procs, and I don't feel like dying if I use redirection, so that's why that's on there. And then the last one we talk about is Stretch. So Stretch is really good because obviously you want to hit the most amount of people with your Accelerant and your World on Fire. So I found that just having Stretch on there is probably the best thing. We don't use Overextended because it does have a negative effect. Let me go ahead and bring that up. So it has a negative 60 power strength, and that's going to affect it a lot. If you can imagine, it's not going to make Accelerant hit for as hard or buff for as much, and your ability is not going to hit as hard. So I feel like the range is already big enough, right? Like 20 meters on it is already big enough. Like World on Fire, 21 meters, and Accelerant is 29 meters. I felt like that was already long enough. So let's go ahead and take this build and see how it works in practice against some decent level enemies, right? So we're gonna go into the sortie, go into this hive mission here at level 50 to 60, and see what it does. Let's see how long it takes us to kill enemies and see what actually stops us. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hit my... Actually, you know what? Before I use Accelerant, let me go ahead and put some paths down just so I can get enough energy so I don't have to do much. Alright, clean those guys up real quick. Let my energy go up. Alright, I'm going to turn World on Fire on, and we're going to go. Let's see if we can't find all the little... I actually wanted to kill more enemies than finding these dudes, but here's a guy right here. I'm gonna go ahead and cast Accelerant on him, and he just instantly dies. He's just gone. I want to just show you how much the damage is without actually shooting it. I think I shot it afterward, but I think it died before I even did any damage. Let me see if I can find an enemy. Oh, those aren't enemies. There are just no enemies to kill. I see an enemy over there. He disappeared. Alright, he's probably under us. Yeah. There's an enemy. Nope, he's dead. He got caught on fire. Alright. There's a dude. Oh, you know what? I think there's another Ember here. And he's taking fire damage. So, why don't we go ahead and move on to the next one. Here we go. Parasitic Eczemus. I'm going to turn on this. World on Fire is turned on. Look at his health. I'm going to hit him with Accelerant. And his health is going to start dropping dramatically. Look at that. That was a huge difference in damage. Now, I talked about this build being to supplement your damage with your weapons, fire damage. So, look at the difference in how fast I kill these guys when I hit Accelerant and then use my Ignis. I'm going to hit Accelerant. Now I'm going to use my Ignis. Done. I cut through them like butter. Because remember, this Ignis is hitting for around 2600 damage, and it's going to apply the viral proc. So it doesn't matter what level these dudes are, they're going to die. I mean, you got to get really high for them to not just instantly die. It's really, really strong. These little dudes, the chargers and stuff like that, they die relatively quick on their own without actually having any debuffs. But if you're having issues with them not dying fast enough, just hit Accelerant. And this build allows for it. This is why I like using this particular build over other builds, because if you just use a lot of range, sure, like if it's really good for lower level content, like if you're trying to just speed run through something, you don't actually want to kill anything, it's phenomenal. But outside of that, like when you start getting into sorties or you go into like endless defense or survival, stuff like that, it just falls off so hard. And I'm not a fan of constantly swapping back and forth from builds, because I actually have another build that I like playing with, and that is like I use a different build for defense missions, and it's kind of like having your Ember play like Bastille, but it's not affected by strength. You know, there's not a check on how many enemies can be in the Bastille before you have to throw another one up there. It's based on her second ability. The what is that called again? No, it's based on Fire Blast. But anyways, that's neither here or there. Hopefully you guys got a good idea of how much the World on Fire damage does on its own. Remember, these guys are level 50 to 60, right? So it's not something you're going to find on the star chart. So if you go into the star chart, these guys are going to melt so much faster. So you got an idea of how much damage it does on its own, how much damage you can it gets amplified by using Accelerant, and then you got to see how fast enemies die to your weapon once you use Accelerant in the Ignis. And the Atamos actually hits harder, so if they die fast with the Ignis, they're probably going to die just as fast as the Atamos. So if you can imagine, if I burn through them that quick at level 70 or 60, 50, if they get to like 100, they're probably still going to die relatively quickly, because again, the viral proc is going to cut their HP in half, and the rest of the damage is going to do the work. Maybe it might take an extra second to kill them or two, but they're still going to die relatively quickly. So that's the end of my build, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it gave you a new way to play Ember, or at least maybe a little more efficient way for both low, mid, and high end tier gameplay. So thanks a lot for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, well, let us know. Put all your comments below, and if you've got some time, go check out our website at 10army.com. We do have other guides there for you, and as always, take care. See you next time, guys.